Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Astromarine, and I'm here because Smite has just gone into open beta yesterday, the 25th, and I thought it would be good, like I've done 3 videos on Smite already, I thought it would be good to just make kind of a quick review, just to talk a bit about the game and what it is and what I think of it so far. So for any free-to-play game, a very important consideration, like always, is what's the business model? So how are they going to monetize the game? How are they going to get your hard-earned cash? And Smite is relatively benign on this. It costs nothing to play. There is a god rotation like in other MOBAs. So you can play with the assigned gods every week if you don't have any. Also, like other MOBAs, you can buy your gods either with in-game currency, which is called favor in this game, or with real money. I flailed around at the end of one of my last videos just trying to figure out how much each god costs, and I kind of missed the obvious, which is when you're buying gems, it actually tells you how many gods you can buy with the gems you're getting. So from what I could see, each god is around 200 gems so far. I don't know if they're going to increase the price once they're out of beta, if this is a special deal or if it's going to stay like this, but that's what it is for now. And like usual, like if you buy more gems at once, they will give you a few extra so that it's a better deal. From what I could see, like the most you can buy at once is around 40 euros. I have no idea how much that is in dollars. And that seems to be, at the moment at least, worth 17 gods, which is about half the field, or expected to be half the field by the time the game releases, so that's a decent amount, if you want to spend that much money. The other thing you can buy is skins. Now, unlike other games, Smite has a really nice feature, which is you can actually buy at least some skins with favor. You don't need to pay real money for them. The special ones you do, kind of the ones with little extra bits and particle effects, and the shinier ones, you do need to pay, but if it's just like a recoloring or a different palette or something, then those are normally purchasable with favor. A bunch of favor. I mean, in all my games so far, I made about 9,000 favor, and one skin costs 11,000. But if it's something that you really want, you can get it like that. Otherwise, the palette switching skins are about 200 gems, which is more or less the same as a god, and the shinier ones are 400. The nice thing about the game is that it doesn't have any of that kind of just purchasing boosts, either experience boosts or favor boosts or any of that thing that other MOBAs tend to have, and even other games like. That seems to be a standard way for free-to-play games to monetize themselves. This one doesn't have that, which is a good thing because in MOBAs in general, like, leveling faster is not a good thing. You're going to be matched against higher level people, and you're not going to be able to have the same experience and the same skills that they do. So you shouldn't do that in any MOBA, and Smite doesn't even give you the option, which is nice. Now, it's actually pretty full featured for a free-to-play game, so it has 3.5 game modes. So first game mode is Conquest mode. It's the basic one that other games in this genre like Dota or League of Legends have, which is the kind with 3 lanes and a jungle and enemy towers and creeps and the standard kind of map. The other 2 modes are Arena, which is just basically team deathmatch with a twist, and Domination, which is what you're watching now, and it's kind of this point capture map where you pretty much have to always be roaming around and fighting, rather than this more static, more strategic conquest gameplay. The other nice feature about it is that every day they have a different match of the day, and what that means is that they just generate some silly conditions. Either it's everybody fights with the same god, or once I played a couple of days ago was everybody starts an arena match with 12,000 gold and full level, so you just start dumping right from the beginning and there's no leveling, there's nothing except just pure fighting. These are relatively popular depending on which one. Like, some gods are kind of annoying, so once I fought a battle which was like tanks versus tanks, and that's really no fun, and I hope they don't replay that anytime soon. But in general, it's a really nice idea, and it's a palate cleanser for the more serious matches. Once you're level 30, you're going to have like ranked modes and all of that stuff for proving your skills against the internet. Now, the other thing any game like this you need to face is like how many heroes it has, are they any good, are they varied enough, etc. Smite is kind of weird for a MOBA. Like League of Legends has probably around 200 characters by now, Dota has about 100 as far as I know. Smite has 28 at the moment, with 2 more planned before release. It's a relatively small sample, but you do have like 3D assets and that kind of stuff, which makes the process of creating a god probably more expensive and more involved than for the other games. So far, the gods that they've made are relatively simple, certainly compared to some of the gods that are available in Dota. Everybody has a passive, like in League of Legends, which is like a special buff that you have that's strictly for your god, so some are harder to hit when they're near towers, others are stronger the less life they have, etc. Stuff like that, just little tiny bonuses that make you play a different way. And then everybody has 4 skills. Other games have like some really complicated heroes that you need to read a guide to play. So far this hasn't been the case. To a point where it's kinda samey. So everybody is just a straight combat hero, either magic or physical, with tanks. There are 2 gods marked as support. Only one of them, I would say, is actual, like a proper standard support like you'd be used to in other games. So if you want to play a straight healer or just a guy that's going to be buffing your team and so on, you're not going to have that in this game. Moving on, so like one of the weirder parts of the game is the way they do communication. Like outside the game, it's just a standard like every other game. You can make a friends list, you can chat with people on your friends list as normal. You can have teams, which is kind of like guilds in World of Warcraft, but tinier. The maximum number is 9 people, as far as I know, at least so far. And as far as I know, it doesn't give it any other benefit except like a tag in front of your name. But the weird part of the game, and the cool part, is inside the match. So in a match, the first thing you're going to notice is that there is no enemy chat. You just can't talk to your enemies throughout the whole game until the game is done and you're back at the status screen watching your scores. There is absolutely no communication possible with your enemy, which is good because most of the time all that's done there is to insult each other and each other's mothers, and that's not a very nice thing. Kids these days, really. So it just blocks that completely, which is a really nice feature. You can mute and ignore people like normal, which is a good thing for some of your team members sometimes. But it's been surprisingly calm. No like rage fests yet, a couple of rage quits, but nothing too major. So the community seems to be pretty okay. Let's see how it goes now that it's in open beta and at release, but so far it's pretty damn good. The most innovative feature that I've seen in the game, communications-wise though, is the VCS system. It's what they call their like audible commands that you can do during the match. So the rest of the team is going to hear those, and they can be anything from just saying I am the greatest, or awesome combat, or well done, or I'll be right back, to just pretty specific like requests for help in either of the lanes, or requests for a gank, or informing that the enemies are missing from the lane. There's pretty much a command for everything in that system, and it's really simple to use. All you hit is the V key to start, and then you can go through just a couple of key clicks to go through the menus until you form like a 3 or 4 letter command, and that is audible. It's a really, really nice system. I wish League of Legends had something like that. I wish Dota has something like that. Dota has this wheel that's kind of the same thing, but it's much less powerful and much less cool. But the main thing that you care about in this game is the combat. How is it? Well, it's really nice that the game has a different perspective as a standard MOBA. Not just because there's already some of those and you'd need to really stand out from the crowd to make it like that, but also because it does a few things to the combat that are interesting. It's much more chaotic, it's much more tense when you're running away, when you're fighting and you don't know who's coming behind you, when you're pushing a tower and you don't know if you're going to be ganked and you have to constantly be looking around. It's a really key addition to the gameplay, I think, in this game. The other thing that the perspective does is to change the way the combat itself works. So, because you're third person and you're fighting at a much lower level to the ground and you're not clicking with the mouse in anywhere, you have to basically swing your weapon and see what's in front of it. So like there's a small like visual aid that tells you which of the guys that are in front of you you're gonna hit, but good luck spotting that in the middle of a major team fight. You're pretty much gonna have to just dodge and weave through the combat to actually hit the guy you want, and it's gonna be more or less approximate every time, but in general it works well. As for ranged combat, it's a bit frustrating at times when you're missing everybody because they keep dodging your shots, but the very idea that you can dodge ranged shots is actually pretty cool. Unlike MOBAs, you can't click on a guy that's behind the line of combat and hit him with your bow or something. You have to either dodge the line to get a clear shot at him or play some ability or something like that, but your basic attacks are gonna hit whatever's in front of you, which, if the guy's playing right, is gonna be mostly creeps. The fact that every single skill is a skill shot, which means there's gonna be a template on the ground of where the skill's gonna hit, and you have to aim it and you have to hit. Basically, there's no auto-targeting, there's no way for you to say, please hit this guy no matter where I'm looking at. It's always gonna hit exactly where you click, which makes it a pretty precise gameplay element that you have to master so that you can actually contribute to your team as much as you possibly can. Now, all of that said, this makes for a pretty chaotic fight. You're going to be jumping around with the mouse, like you really need a high sensitivity to play well. You're going to be missing shots at the beginning, you're going to be hitting thin air. It's going to be a mess right from the start. This is a good thing and a bad thing. So from the beginning it's going to look like just a giant mess with no strategy and no skill, where you're just clicking buttons and hopefully something's going to happen. But you can get much better. You only need to see some of the scores of the people that fighting against me to realize that. You can be a much more precise, much more accurate, much more effective player once you can actually see through the chaos to the gameplay that's behind. All in all, I really like the combat of this game, and I hope new heroes and new items and new strategies come up to make it even more exciting. Speaking of strategies, how does this game compare to other games of the genre? Well, I have no idea. This is the part of the review which me even trying to be authoritative about it would be kind of insulting to the people who actually know how to play. What seems to be the case is that there are a few less options than in other games. So like the jungle doesn't seem to be such a valid strategy. Like in other MOBAs you can take one of your players and he will stay in the jungle and ganking in the lanes and trying to do a much more roaming playstyle. It doesn't really work here. There's not enough NPCs in the jungle for you to kill, not enough gold in the jungle that you can level up at a pace with the other people. You're gonna have to be constantly trying to gank, and you're gonna fall behind. The lack of supports also seems to hurt it a bit. On one hand, maybe it's a clear design decision, I can't really say, but there are no dedicated supports. You can't just be a healer, you can't be like a full-on disabler. Though some heroes get close to that, you can't be a buffer. So you're always gonna have to fight, you're always gonna have to try to contribute to the damage of the team, which is good if that's the kind of thing you like, but it does limit the options a bit in terms of team compositions or in terms of strategies of what's going to happen during the match. Now, this is all for Conquest. The other game modes are much more just frantic fighting and much more just pure action games. Not so much strategy involved there, except for buying items and trying to choose your skills appropriately and control the creep waves. So there's some of it still. It's not gonna be pure button mashy action combat all the time, but the meat of the game in terms of strategy is Conquest mode. And it does seem like a few additional gods with some specific capabilities and maybe a rework of the jungle in the Conquest map would be beneficial. But what do I know? I don't play any of these games to a level where anything I say can be considered even close to the truth. Now, as you've probably figured out by now, I really like this game. I mean, my YouTube channel has 4 videos by the time I'm recording this, and all of them are about the game. So I really do enjoy it. I think everybody should play it now that it's in open beta. Everybody should give it at least a try. If you don't like MOBAs, if you don't like Dota, if you don't like League of Legends, at least give a try to Arena mode, which is, for now, I think the most fun for people who are not like specifically into this genre. Give that a try, see if you can get into. Even the Conquest mode is not as static and as MOBA-y as other games of the genre. So I really do recommend it. I hope you guys give the game a shot. And wow, that was scary. That was my first review on this channel. I hope there's gonna be more. Let me know if I should do more of these or not. And as always, leave any comments or questions or whatever in the section below. And yeah, if you like what I do, please subscribe. Please like my videos. That always helps. It's YouTube after all. And I will see you next time.